Thank you, Master of Ceremonies and distinguished judges. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine you are a small child in Africa, nothing to eat, no clean water to drink, and all you are wearing is an old rag cloth. You have many brothers and sisters, all packed in a small shabby house. At the same time, many Japanese companies are spreading in Africa. Over the last 20 years, it is said more than 300 companies and about 3,500 Japanese make a living there. So I think Japanese companies have a big responsibility to support as part of the global society. That is what we call CSR. This stands for Corporate Social Responsibility, and it is there so that companies accomplish their responsibility in a sustainable way to contribute for society. There are mainly 3 types of ways to contribute as CSR. The first one is the environment. Many Japanese companies work hard to use natural resources sustainably to protect the environment. The second one is the responsibility to follow the law and the company's principles and be ethical to prevent affairs. Japanese companies are focusing a lot on these 2, whereas the third one, which I want to talk about today, is being ignored. It is support for the developing countries. When compared to American and European countries, Japanese companies' effort for supporting the developing country was the least. It also means the Japanese consumers' intention toward CSR is the least too. SRI, the social responsibility investment, where people can invest for companies with social responsibility, was very low. In 2005, European countries had 144 trillion yen. America had 306 trillion yen. Japan, only 400 billion yen. That is only 0.5% of Europe. What is incentive for CSR? Why is Japanese companies' incentive for CSR, especially support for developing country and poverty, is low? It is because Japanese companies are doing it just because American and European companies are doing it. After the World War II, Japanese economy tried so hard to bring in and copy the way American were doing, whereas American and European companies figured them out themselves that they need the concept of CSR. Our country's companies are being passive. That makes us, ordinary consumers, to be inactive too. As for myself, I went to Kenya last summer, and I had the chance to visit the Street Children Rehabilitation Center and slum. I faced many situations where they need to improve their living environments. There were garbage everywhere. The nearby river was full of bubbles and bad smell. There were only few toilets. Others were not well maintained. Most children do not have shoes on, which means small bacteria can go into the cut in the back of their foot. They cannot go to hospital easily. So for them, a light disease can be fatal. And also, most children do not have money and time to go to school, so they were selling small things on streets. I also had the chance to visit the headquarters of UNEP in Kenya. In UNEP, there is an institution called the Habitat, where they work to improve the living environments and homes for people over the world. One of the officers working there was saying Japanese companies do not help to solve the problem seriously unless there is a clear proof that they will have credit. Most of the time when they give a helping hand, it is for the company's image building. For example, Japanese companies tend to make water well, but do not help to solve toilet problems, which is very serious. It is because making water well is said to be much better for company's image. However, there are some projects which succeeded in contributing to make people's lives better. In Africa, malaria is still rampant. 50 million people contract malaria and a million die from it every year. Sumitomo Chemical, a Japanese company, thought they can help. So they made an OLISAT net, a mosquito net using its own technology. In 2005, the American NGO Millennium Promise distributed this OLISAT net to every household in Kenya. The percentage of villagers carrying the malaria parasite declined from 43% to 11% in 1 year. It is the first long-lasting insecticidal net ever to receive a WHO recommendation. Not only that, it created 7,000 people their opportunity of employment in Tanzania, where there is a factory making the OLISAT net. I just named Sumitomo Chemical as an example, but of course, there are more companies trying hard to accomplish their responsibility. What we can do is to become a wise consumer and support those companies. Even if the product is popular with good design, or if the price is low, I think the true value of a company depends whether they are trying to accomplish their responsibility in a global society. You might feel the situation in Africa and CSR itself is something far from you, but it's not. Your little change in action can be a big difference. If we change, companies will change too. You and Africa is connected. Although you might not be able to do everything, there is always something you can do for a smile throughout the world. Thank you for listening.
Thank you very much, Ms. Tazunegi. Now, question and answer period. Sama, please.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Tazunegi. So you are the first speaker.
Yes.
How do you feel?
Very nervous.
You should be nervous. I tell you not to get nervous later. All right? Okay. Let me ask you. You mentioned that the ratio of SR of Japan, Japanese SR, is just about 0.5%, right? That's the lowest of all the nations in the world. Yeah, but you're comparing that 0.5, with total Europe or total U.S. So how much is it like per nation in Europe? You said 144 trillion yen for the entire Europe.
Yes.
So per nation-wise, how much is it in Europe?
I do not know the actual number of each country in Europe, but Europe is working together in a group called EU, so I think it is better to count the percentages in a big group.
But you're just comparing an apple with an orange, Japan per se versus total Europe. But okay, what about, how's it like in Britain, Great Britain? Do you have the number from that country?
No.
That's okay. All right. The second question here is that are there any legal requirements for corporations to meet SRI in Japan? Legal requirements, law for the corporations to meet SRI.
I believe there is I'm not sure of the specific law, but I think I've heard that it is very. Other countries have a law which has.
Okay, you mentioned that other countries have laws. Okay, what kind of law do they have?
The companies have to pay some. It depends on the country, but the actual percentage that the law says to CSR. So the company have to pay some percentage of their profit to operate for social.
Okay. All right. What is the major source of SR in other countries? Major source, like a government pension fund, or just do you have any idea? Okay, last question. If you were a politician, right, who can do anything, what kind of regulations or laws would you like to establish to promote this SR for Japan?
If I could do anything, I think I would regulate. I would make a law so that companies have to pay certain amount of money from their profit.
So how do you know if the company that you're talking about it has paid a certain amount of money for SR? How do you monitor? How do you
How do I know?
keep track of that their performance?
Then I will make them that they have to turn in how much they contributed to developing countries.
Okay, the reporting system.
Yes.
You want to strengthen, reinforce the reporting system.
Yes.
Okay. Is time okay still? Yeah. Can I have more questions to you?
Yes.
I think I ran out of questions. You're lucky. Okay. Thank you very much.